Gargoyles. This was one of the shows that I wish I would have gotten into when I was younger. But by the time Gargoyles really started to show regularly on air, at the time I was starting to age out of watching cartoons and I was moving on to more adolescent stuff. But damn, I go back and I'm like, man, I would have wished I would have watched more of this. Because from what I saw, I enjoyed it. I remember the first episode and relatively enjoying it, but other things at the time started drawing my attention. This was initially published by Marvel. I'm glad that Dynamite went back and did a facsimile edition of Gargoyles #1. And this was The Night Will Never Be the Same. And looking back at this too, it makes me wish that, like, okay, for example, I've got my kids some comics for Free Comic Book Day that are kid friendly, which don't get me wrong, he's way younger, so I can kind of understand some of the books we read. But I remember as a kid, and Marvel would release kid comics or based off the cartoon shows, and they were almost as violent and well drawn as the flipping TV show. And so we didn't know how well we had it. They did not need to go as hard as they did in the artwork of this book. Now, before we dive into it, if you've never heard of Gargoyles, I'm glad that they put a sort of a brief distriction. This is what happens when you don't drink enough coffee early in the morning, folks. But go ahead, read that, pause it, come back, and now we see friends in high places. We're kind of doing the third person narration from the diary of, what's her name? Detective second class Elisa Maza. I always forget her name. But I mean, look at this dynamic Dutch angle. Police, freeze! And we see some dude getting, what do you call it? Covered in this laser or whatever. And just listen to the dialogue for a kid's comic. From the personal diary of Detective Second Class Eliza Maza, NYPD. Maybe I shouldn't be keeping too many secrets from Captain Chavez, but ever since I found out about the Gargoyles, I keep coming up against stuff I can't put on an official report. Or they would have me off the force and into a straitjacket before the file hit the captain's desk. A perfect example, that armored whatever it is from tonight. I try to read some comics like this to my kid, and he just kind of nopes out. And so I think back, and it's like, dang, we really had to have the patience when we were young bucks to really appreciate these books, or not even really understand it, but enjoy the pretty pictures. I go back now, and I'm like, dang, I miss when creators would be handed a show based on a kid's show and just kick ass with it, artwork and storytelling-wise. It just, come on, man, I miss that. Speaking of writing, Martin Pasco, drawing Amanda Connor, so that name should ring a bell from Power Girl and Harley Quinn. Man with the inks, Alberto Sackman. Man with the letters, John Costanza. Spray paint, Greg Wright. And heavy sweating, Hidley Misnick, sure. And then Danger, Tom DeFalco, Chief. Wear hard hats. I miss when Marvel made you feel like you're a part of the club like this. So then we dive in, and look at this. They did not have to go this hard. Look at the way that gargoyle robot, whatever it is, just hits. What is her name? Eliza, the police detective. And that's just like full on, like this was the quality you expected from Marvel back in the day. So, one thing I'm sure of, whatever that thing was, it wanted anyone who spotted it to think it was one of my gargoyle friends, like Goliath. And I just love this Batman-esque of the gargoyle in the moonlight. We see what happens to her partner. And then in comes Goliath, the leader. Suddenly I heard that weapon again. And when the sound faded, I couldn't hear Goliath approach anymore, as if he'd been stopped midair. The armored intruder was obviously trying to capture him too, and was as obviously bound to fell. He gets cocooned and just to display the strength of Goliath. Just, love it. And I don't know, did these two ever get in a relationship? They bicker like a married couple. And she's trying to say, I had to punch him with the rest of the night shift. He's saying, why didn't you wait to explain what's going on? Because as you saw at the beginning, the gargoyles turned to stone by day. So Eliza here has to take the night shift so she can work along with the gargoyles. We come to find out that what's happening with these kidnappings, because that's what this robot thing was, is it was trying to kidnap one of the construction workers from this RTC site. And when one of the construction workers tried to come in to explain that they thought they looked like a gargoyle, the police force said, yeah, I'm sure. And basically called him a head case. And you can see the sketch artist here with the little cartoon, cuckoo, cuckoo. I miss when comics were fun like this. God, do I miss the fun. Yeah. But anyway, Eliza knows better because she's met the gargoyles. So she volunteers to go undercover to work as a construction worker, and then we get brought up to what happened that night. And then we're brought in to the villain. What's this guy's name? Starts with an X. Hold on a minute. It'll come to me. I have to find it. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Xantos. Mr. Xantos. Now, if I'm not mistaken, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Jonathan Frakes that did the voice of Xantos? So whenever I hear this, I hear Commander Riker. And he's not happy that the abduction didn't happen this evening, and the fact that the gargoyle got away. Now we find out who is in the mecha uniform. I don't want to give that away, but we come to find out how the gargoyles ended up in New York, how they were sworn to protect their castle. I love that they give you basically a quick background, because apparently there was a comic series before this one that kind of showed the origin of the gargoyles. So I appreciate that they gave you a brief explanation. As I've said, whenever you dive into a comic book, it should feel like you're first. And so it's been so long since I watched Gargoyles. This at least brought me in and made me understand why they stayed at this particular clock tower. All the different characters, Hudson, Broadway, and what was the other one? There's another one. Hudson, Broadway. I can't remember the other one's name. But yeah, I think another thing that when I was getting older, it was kind of reminding me of the Ninja Turtles, these outsiders that are kind of not part of society, blah, 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 blah. But nonetheless, we see which one's supposed to be the Donatello. He kind of finds out how what's that RTC thing is related to Santos Industries. And of course, Eliza goes back on the ship with her partner. And you come to find out that even though he got majorly injured, he's still going to back his partner up because that's what good cops do. And then Goliath again. See who is the threat in the gargoyle uniform, breaking his heart. And gorgeous action. And now with older comics, this kind of took me a while to realize, and you don't see this a lot with modern books anymore. It's just like with TV, where the beginning is a little slow because they have to set the stage. You have to kind of introduce who your cast is, why do we care about them, what are their motivations, what are their personalities. And then the latter half of the book, now that everything's established, we get that third act, and damn is the action awesome. I mean, look at this. They did not need to go this hard with the colors or the pencils. But this is what we had back then. This was before digital tracing, digital coloring. Well, digital coloring was just on the horizon, so it was used sparingly because it still looked kind of barf. But this was when Marvel Comics, the quality matched just about every single book. Oh, this was a fun read. It makes me want to go back and get all the OG books, assuming I can find them. I am thankful, though, that Dynamite did do a reprint of Marvel's first run. If you're a big Gargoyles fan, or just a fan of traditional comic style, highly recommend it. Oh! Almost forgot. There was something I wanted to show you guys. Where is it? Hold on. We shall find it. Oh, it may not be in this book. The original one had a rundown of who the gargoyles were. It was like a read. It would tell you what each gargoyle's name was and what their motivation was. I guess Dynamite took it out. Boo, Dynamite! I'm just kidding. But yeah, damn good book. Gorgeous artwork. And it just makes me long for that time when all this was just new and fresh, and it would be on Pizza Hut plastic cups. It would be on macaroni and cheese, trading cards. Guys, 1995 was one hell of a time to be a comic book fan. It was everywhere, and we didn't need the movies to hype it up. It was just the comics, the TV shows, kick-ass posters, kick-ass trading cards. And I try not to live in that nostalgia bubble, but damn do I miss that time when you could just talk about it. And even though people would still be like, oh, look at that nerd with a trading card, you'd still have your friends and you're just kind of like, yeah, eat my butt, whatever. Anyway, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your comics and action figures and grab this series. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Goliath bell next subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified, come to the channel, and I love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.